Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Wheel-to-Wheel Racing. We're back again for round 8 of season 7. Tonight we're here at Circuit St. Croix B. This is a Gran Turismo original track, so completely fictional. It is set on the lakes of France. Joining me tonight in the commentary box is Molten Ash. Welcome, Molten.
Thank you, Captain. Nice to be here and making my debut tonight. So, yeah, go easy on me, but let's have some fun, hey?
We'll be golden, don't you worry about that. And doing our fine visuals for us tonight is Dodgy86. Dodgy, welcome.
Thanks, Cap. Glad to be here yet again. Just watching these awesome GR2 vehicles smash it around this track. And smash it, I think they will be. The walls on this track have played a big part in practice this week.
Yeah, they certainly have. Coming off the wet round at Tokyo last weekend, we've not shied away from tracks with walls right on the limit. So you would think we would be used to them by now, but certainly not. I've seen many people come a gutser and destroy their race or destroy their lap in practice. So hopefully people stay off them and keep it clean. And we should be in for a good night of racing. I utterly enjoyed my time in Div 1 tonight, and I'm expecting the same of a few people here.
Tell us how you went, mate. Pretty good night.
Yeah, look, I'm well happy. I managed to clean up and basically lead I did lead from turn 1 all through to the finish line. So very, very stoked with that. I had the pace here. It was exactly this setup, St. Croix B and Group 2 Nissan in the Season 5 off-season. So that was when I first started racing with wheel-to-wheel. And I had the pace of the top guys, but I screwed the pooch on strategy and ended up doing an extra pit stop when I didn't need to. But yeah, tonight was certainly redemption. Finished about 8.5 seconds in front of second place. So well and truly happy with that result.
You've come along well, Captain, and a really good race tonight. I've heard on the Discord server that they might be renaming this track. It's now Circuit des Captain. So we'll go with that one. Yeah. Doesn't quite fly off the tongue as well.
Not as well, but I'm happy to take that on. So who are your picks tonight? I'm keeping a close eye on both Ando, Smooth, and also my teammate and Dodgy's teammate, Jonesy.
Yeah, definitely Ando's already on the pace here in practice, getting down to a 1:53.1, so a really good lap there. That'd be pretty competitive in Div 1 tonight. Jonesy, yes, if he can keep it clean, I can definitely see him up there, and I think you're on the money, mate. I think him and Smooth Blanket should be the ones that can potentially take it to the front tonight. But it's going to be a good race. There's a lot of really good runners in this, and I think it's going to be closer than we potentially think.
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually quite surprising for myself in Div 1. There was about 20 seconds separating the podium, which I wouldn't have expected. So I would actually think tonight we'll see a lot of close battles and closer end result. And there's also a lot of different strategies. They might be the same in terms of, or they will be the same in terms of total lap count, but sometimes people try and do a 9-lap stint or even an 8-lap stint and get the undercut early. Clean air around this track is vital. And that was certainly something that helped me. I was clean air from the first corner and was just able to focus on lapping consistently rather than battling with other people. So fingers crossed, there's not a lot of battling, but we'll see how we go.
That's right, there's plenty of aero in these Group 2s, and you can get a little bit of aero wash through some of the faster corners, so definitely experience that in our Div 3 race tonight. And when you're out on your own, you can get into a nice rhythm and just punch out those laps one after another, and that's what you need here. You need that to be consistent, to put a good race time in, and just not make mistakes. There's, like you mentioned before, so many walls that you can just get and just tap, and it causes damage. And of course, here at Wheel-to-Wheel, we run with damage. So if you have damage, it's just like the real world. You have to get back into the pits and fix it. And that caught me out tonight. I had an unusual spin coming off the bridge, into turn 7. Just caught the bumps there, spun out, hit the wall, and that was it for me. Engine damage, and I had to really change the strategy up. But I think we're going to see that tonight. If people make mistakes, there's definitely the potential for switching up the strategy. What do you think's the fastest? Are we looking at a 2-stopper or a 3-stopper for the guys tonight?
Oh, it truly depends on how well they can fuel save, and how well they can treat their tyres. I know in practice races earlier in this week when I was battling with someone or driving in their aero, I would notice considerable tyre wear on both of my left-hand tyres, and that can certainly affect both your rhythm and your total lap times. I remember dropping about a second, maybe a second and a half a lap with, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 laps worth of battling over a 10-lap stint. So it's one of those things. It truly depends on how clean everyone is, but yeah, if we can see someone out in front, I wouldn't be surprised to see a total race time of low 57s, possibly high 56s. And looking at Div 1 race times, that would have been either a podium or a 4th place. So a lot of these people have the capabilities for it, so I'm very keen to see what's going to unfold.
Definitely be super competitive across the race. Going into qualifying, who's your pick for pole tonight?
It'd have to be between... I mean, we've seen Ando put out a cracking lap already, so I would say between Ando and Jonesy, personally, as we see qualifying getting kicked off now.
You know what, Ando came and set that lap pretty much first one out the box, so he can definitely switch it on quickly. It's time to go. Let's see what the guys can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Around this track as well, you only get 2 flying laps, so given we have 5-minute qualifying, you really want to be able to get out there and just set yourself up nicely. You don't need to be first out, you don't need to battle for position, you're not going to gain anything by that. So you get 2 flying laps at an absolute maximum, and you've got about a minute to spare. So if you find that pre-space, then you should be on a good lap.
And what about teammates? Are you looking for your teammates on this qualifying lap, or you're really just looking for clean air? Does the slipstream help enough, or would you rather be out on your own?
Me personally, I would much rather be out by myself, and that's exactly what I was able to do in Div 1. I just let everyone else go out. They had their slip, they had their battles, but I struggled to drive in aero wash, or I struggled to drive quickly, so focused on finding my own space there. So we'll give it a quick run through now that the leaderboards seem to have figured themselves out. So out in front we have Ritdoc for V Corsa Racing. I am actually expecting some good times from him as well, so hopefully I haven't put the commentator's curse on him. Following closely is Ando, who we've seen punch out some fantastic laps already. I expect to see him on the top. Following closely again is Jonesy. So 1, 2 and 3 on track have the potential to be 1, 2 and 3 on the qualifying top list as well. Following closely as well, we have Spence for Team Leftovers. Spence has been doing quite well, so I wonder where he's going to finish up.
Definitely interesting tonight. Behind that, we've got Super Dragon. So lovely looking livery there on the V-Power team as well. Zidi, who's joined us, one of your 13R mates, and then Corbin, CHH119, with that fantastic M&Ms for Shake and Bake Racing. Love that livery.
Yeah, fantastic livery. He's just picked up the penalty, he's burned that nice and quick, so hopefully he doesn't get in the way of his teammate Cloquet right behind in 8th. Following closely, we have Smurf with Dam Racing. Dale Keeks is the owner. Smooth Blanket for Speed Demons. Suit Lab, another 13R representative in Div 2. J-Dub for, I think, his team Leftovers as well. And also,
yes, one of my teammates, yep.
There we go, and Flossie in for the... Actually, I think he's a privateer at the moment.
He is running as a privateer, and how's that livery? Looking like the Aston Martin F1 cars from this year. What a beautiful green he's got going there.
Outstanding livery. He's pulled that off to perfection, I think. He's done very well. So if I can jump on with Jonesy, we'll see if we can follow him for roughly a lap. We'll get on board and give a bit of a run through of this fantastic course here tonight.
You're pretty close to the top 3.
They are, and that's something else that brings up the aero wash. So this left-hander is one that you just have to admit feels slow. There's no real fast way to take it. You want to shoot yourself left off to set yourself up for this right-hander. Jonesy is actually in a pretty good position here for aero wash. He wouldn't be suffering too much, and he'd be getting just enough slip, which is very important. You want to focus on your exit coming down this back straight. A little bit of a kink here for the right-hander. Absolutely nothing corner. You keep it going in. Oh, we see Ando making a move.
Ando's gone up the inside. Ritdoc letting past.
Wise move by Ritdoc. It's not worth fighting here at the moment. We're not battling for position, we're just battling for best lap time. So I'm actually surprised to see them going wheel to wheel.
Yeah, it's very tight up there. And Ripdoc definitely getting the aero wash there. Slides out a little bit wide. That'll cost him a bit for the lap time. But it looks like he's going to stay with Ando there and try and get the benefit back over this next lap.
Yeah, certainly. It's one of those things. They're definitely close to each other and probably suffering aero wash. As we can see, Ando's done a 53.1. That is an outstanding time and with an overtake. So if he can put this next lap together, I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to pull off a 52. So we'll keep a close eye on him. However, if we're still with Jonesy... Ooh, Suitlad's up a second. Fantastic. So yeah, sticking with Jonesy, you want to keep it nice and tight on this left-hander. And now we want to stick actually fairly right of this track, exactly as Jonesy is. You really want to shorten this distance of the track. Shoot left, and then we lift off, and then you focus on setting yourself up for this right-hander. Exactly as he has in second, nice and smooth.
Real tricky right-hander there. Nice bump right in the middle of it, which can really upset the car, but he's done well through there.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people don't like that bump, but personally I'm very much a fan of it. So, we see Ripdoc bail out, so he's obviously not up on his time and is keen to... we see Jonesy just tag the wall there. That's exactly that corner that is very sensitive to overdriving. You've really just got to focus on getting through there cleanly. So Smooth has bailed back to the pits as well, so he's switched to mediums. So whichever tyre you finish qualifying on is what you start the race on. So interesting move there from Smooth. I wonder if we're going to see another couple do that throughout the race throughout qualifying.
Definitely an interesting tactic. He obviously wasn't happy with his lap time there, so he's gone for the medium start strategy. But yeah, we'll see how he can go bringing it through the pack. Ando's slightly off his previous pace as he comes around to the last corner now.
So Ando's rounding out the last corner. He's just gone with a little bit of a dirt drop on the entry into this last turn as well. That's not going to help him become faster. We're actually seeing... Who is that? Is that Spence up behind Jonesy? I think Spence has done...
That was Spence from leftovers. Jumped up into second there.
Fantastic time by Spence. Good effort.
Well, a couple of surprises there.
Yeah,
a couple of people still coming across the line, but so far Ando taking pole, Spence in second there, just 0.2 behind, and then Suitlad 0.5 off that. Cloakade, Jonesy, Smooth Blanket, Smurf and your mum, J-Dub, Ripdoc, CHH, and ZD rounding out just outside the top 10 there. CR, Super Dragon, as you said, wasn't very happy with his lap time there. Went into the pits, put the mediums on, so we'll see him come through the pack probably in the second and third stints. And at the moment, EXO rounding out the field. And weaving down the track, so obviously not happy with his lap.
Just doing a bit of a show for us while qualifying countdown finishes up. He's also sporting damage, so he's obviously coming up to somewhere and caused himself a mischief, but again, it is qualifying. Unfortunately, he's not gotten a lap time in, so he will start from last place, but it just means he can potentially be the most improved. So I think Super Dragon will be one to watch out for strategy. He, like you say, is in on mediums, and he's at the back of the group, so if majority of the field are on softs, we can see them pulling away from him, and he can just focus on doing his own lap times.
So it looks like we're going to have Smooth Blanket on mediums as well, so a few strategies playing out here. I certainly wouldn't have gone the mediums to start, but let's see how they can hold their position and then come through towards the end.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree. I wouldn't have gone mediums on the start. These cars are quite difficult to get off the line with a lot of wheel spin on softs, so I can only imagine it being difficult on mediums. So what do you think? Dodgy, jump on board with
Smooth at the moment, since he's got the mediums in sixth. We'll see how he goes for the start.
And they're off. Everyone's out cleanly by the look of it. No one's suffering too much from bogging down. So making a run down into turn one, we see Ando, Spence, and Cloakade making it through cleanly. Suitlad's been able to hold his third position, followed closely by Jonesy in fifth and Smurf in sixth. So we're actually seeing a bit of a battle open up already for sixth. We're seeing Smooth Blanket make a dive around Smurf, but he's not having any of that and has actually defended that position really, really well.
Yeah, lovely clean start by the guys. Wouldn't expect much less. But Ando already out to a pretty good gap as the battle continues further back in the pack here.
Yeah, this is the amount of the quality of. Oh, we're seeing people off J-Dub in 10th, and I think there was somebody else that might have come up on the right-hander into the bridge as well. They've just run wide on cold tyres and collected that fence on the left-hand side. It is honestly so easy to do, and I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. So, unfortunate for J-Dub, but he is going to have a lap 1 pit stop.
Yeah, carrying a little bit of damage now. Rear right as he slides out into the wall again. He's definitely hugging the wall, so I dare say we'll see him in the pits to fix that up and see how much that changes his strategy up as well, and see if he can keep it together to bring it back towards the back of the pack at the end of the race.
Definitely. Jumping back up to 5th, we can see Jonesy making a move on Cloquet already. He positioned himself perfectly out of that right-hand sweeper and made the most out of the slipstream effect down this back straight. He's just been able to slot in nicely in front of Cloquet, so very well done by Jonesy there.
Just having a look through the field, Captain, we've actually got a few runners on the medium, so the first half of the pack definitely all running the softs, as you'd expect, getting out to a bit of a step in the first one. And then we see Super Dragon in 8th on the mediums, as is ZD behind him, and it looks like the rest of the pack, other than J-Dub, on the mediums. So J-Dub definitely going to miss out after that first lap.
Yeah, very unfortunate for J-Dub, and it's like you say, it's very clear that there is 2 distinct battle packs opening up already, so basically between medium group and soft group. So
and not a great start for the leftovers either. If I just jump in there, we've seen Spence come in, and in fact J-Dub's continued on, so he's gonna hold on to that damage and see if he can make it work.
That's very keen, actually. That is very keen. I'm not sure what happened to Spence there, but like you mentioned, he has come in for a pit stop. So
it looked like he had a bit of damage on the front splitter, so he's coming to fix that. He's jumped onto the mediums as well.
Yeah, there we go. I wonder if that was the other driver who came a gutter on the right-hander on the bridge there.
Well, that'll be interesting in the team chat later on. I'll have to have a chat with them and see what happened. They've come together a few times this year as teammates, so definitely not what you want to see, and not always deliberate either. So far, if we jump back up the front, we've got Ando pulling out a bit of a gap on Suitlab, 1.9 ahead at this point, and putting in a really good sector time there, down to the 110s.
Yeah, flying out lap as well. A Tour 1-1 I think was actually quicker than my out lap, and I was leading from turn 1. So Ando is definitely no slouch, and if he can continue this pace, he is definitely on for a good result at the end of this race. We'd just like to point out that currently we have Suitlad and Jonesy both in 2nd and 3rd, and repping it for 13R. So we we are not going to rule out those two as teammates dodgy and hoping for a good result.
Absolutely.
That's right. And of course, sorry, Dodgy, get into it, mate.
No, I was just going to say, Jonesy, you want to be careful of Cloquet right on his clacker there too. He's not far behind and ready to pounce in the upcoming straight if he's not careful.
He is. Jonesy is definitely at risk of having Cloquet pull the exact same move that Jonesy did only 1 lap ago. However, following around these cars, like I mentioned before, his aero wash is so tough. It's one of those situations where you would normally like to be the car behind and save a bit of fuel. You don't need to drive as hard, but it's tough. When you're driving with aero wash, I end up using more tyres and more fuel because you've got a slower corner speed. And then you have to try and use your fuel to be able to make it up. So Jonesy made a smart move in my eyes, got into that clean air, and is just needing now focus on doing his lap. So we actually have Cloquet, believe it or not, with the fastest lap out of that with a 54.9. After being overtaken, that is fantastic time.
If we jump back to 8th and 7th, guys, I've got a bit of a good little battle going on here between a couple of the V-Power Racing team, although it looks like they're just kind of working with each other now to kind of pull that gap to CCH. 4.1 seconds behind. Looking to bring it back a little bit.
It is worthwhile noting that CCH is the last of the front group on softs, and then Dragon is the first of the second battle pack on mediums. So certainly looking like Ripdoc and Dragon will work together and potentially swap in the pits. One of them might be able to fuel save a little bit more than the other and help them out on overall strategy. So it'd be fantastic to see those two end up towards pointy end, given every stop and every strategy has worked itself out. I can see ZD and Flossie going at it as well for 10th position at the moment. Flossie's doing a fantastic job to stay right on the tail of ZD.
He's dealing well with the aero wash at the moment, although as I say that, he just heads out a little bit wide and taps the wall, but no damage there, so continues on. That'll cost him a little bit down the straight, but still sitting just outside the slipstream now, or is he just still in it there?
He's only just in it. It's about 7.5 tenths is where the slipstream effect actually starts. It's very weak at that point in time, and it truly depends on your corner exit speed as to if you actually gain on the person in front or not. But yeah, if you are under 6 tenths or so, you're in a very solid slip. So Ando's definitely not messing about either. He answered straight back on the fastest lap. He's currently sitting with a 1:54.7. So if he's going for a 10-lap stint, pulling off a 54.7 on lap 3, he's lightning. He's definitely going to be one to watch and hope he takes home the win.
And for those who are joining us on the stream tonight and wondering how Wheel Tour works, and we run in different divisions, but of course it's your final race time that actually determines where you come for the round. So if you have a really good time here in Div 2, and there's been a bit of fighting going on up in Div 1 and slowing them up, you could end up being a podium or right up the top for the round as well. So that's what Ando's chasing at the moment with a nice clean air. He's definitely hunting down a few of the Div 1 times from tonight.
We've got Smooth Blanket at the moment going in 9th, doing a big move on Ripdoc. Doing a great job, these two, back and forward, back and forward. Looks like a crisscross manoeuvre coming.
Yeah, Ripdoc's showing his nose again. He's not letting Smooth get away with it too easily, and it looks like Dragon's actually been able to pull out a bit of a lead on those two. So I'm surprised Ripdoc and Dragon haven't been able to work together still, and Smooth has been able to get in between their sheets and cause a bit of mayhem. So we'll see if Smooth is on the way up. He was one that I was picking to show his nose at the pointy end. So definitely keep an eye on him as the race progresses.
Pun intended there from the captain. Between the sheets, that's just fantastic.
Oh, no,
he runs wide out of one.
Commentator's curse, he's gone wide at turn 1. He has done very well to be able to keep that straight. Coming off on the grass there is so much difference between being on the track with aero at that speed and being on the grass. So fantastic job by Smooth to keep that and gather it up. Barely lost any time. He was only about 8 tenths down in his previous first sector. So great car control shown there.
Great car control, and Smooth definitely with a little bit of a pace advantage over Ripdoc there on the mediums. Ripdoc running in the very low 57s, but Smooth running in the 56s, low to medium 56s. So I think it'll only be another lap or so until he's right back on there and challenging for that 8th place again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things too, you don't really want to battle too much. So like I mentioned before, if you can just get in front of someone by making a clean pass down this back straight, then you certainly don't lose too much time. But if you're going side by side with each other, you're honestly only hurting yourself and the person that you're driving with. So if you play it smart, get a clean overtake, and you can certainly make things work in your favour. As we see, Smooth has already caught straight back up to Ripdoc. He's not messing around at all.
Now you've got a little bit of pace, half a second on the driver in front. What's the areas you're looking for in this track to make the pass, Captain?
You've really got to focus on staying within that slipstream distance, so ideally within 6 tenths from the driver in front, and just accept that you're going to be slower through that sweeping right-hander, and focus on your exit onto the back straight and get side by side with them by the kink and outbrake them into that right-hander. That is honestly the best place and easiest place that you can make an overtake here. There is a lot to be said about driving side by side, and it is very risky to try and overtake in different sections of the course. Not to say it can't happen, but it's a lot more sensitive to slowing both drivers down. So I'd just like to point out as well, up in second place, Suitlad has been able to match the pace of Ando in first there over the last couple of laps. So I've been watching that delta between the two of them. It's been hanging about the 1.6, 1.7 second mark for the last couple of laps. So really, really good to see Suitlad and Jonesy sticking up in the podium places at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. He's really matching him on the lap times there, and I have to say that pace in the 54s, that's really impressive from both of those guys. Doing a fantastic job, keeping it clean, and just chasing that overall race time, and that's what they'll both need to do today.
How's that fuel comparison looking between Ando and Suitlad there for those deltas?
So Suitlad has used a little bit more fuel, although his tyres are looking a lot better than Ando's. I mean, we are only halfway through the stint, so things might change, but yeah, Suitlad's seeming to use a little bit more fuel and gain that time on the straights, and then focus on tyre life through his corners, which is only going to help him A, keep consistent, and then B, not lose too much time towards the end of the stint.
In fact, the whole top six doing it relatively similar on fuel at this point. There's only a small margin in it. So were you looking to pit on lap 10 for this strategy to be a two-stopper? Or would we see anyone potentially coming a little bit earlier and just using their pace?
Yeah, that was my mistake I made from the Season 5 off-season, trying to punch out quick lap times. And while I was able to, it's too big of a deficit to try and throw in that extra fuel stop or extra pit stop. So quick overall race time is definitely a two-stop. Whether people want to come in on lap 9, we might see someone try to get the undercut, and say, for example, Ando may come in on lap 9 if you wanted to, and then follow through with a 10-lap stint and round that out with a final 10-lap stint on mediums. So it'll be interesting to watch when they come in and also where they come out. And fuel consumption plays a big difference in that as well. It's about, I think it's 1.5 seconds per lap of fuel. I might be wrong on that one, but it certainly adds up. So any percentage you save is big time in the pits.
Yeah, the undercut definitely has a small advantage here, but I reckon if you're in clean air, I'd be going for the mediums in this second stop and looking to come in on lap 10, run another 10-lap stint, and then have 9 laps on the softs to finish it out, and just cover yourself from anyone who's coming through on a faster soft tyre towards the end.
Yeah, definitely, and it also depends on where you are in the race as well. So for the likes of Ando, I would definitely stick to doing the same strategy that I did. I ended up doing 2 stints on softs and then rounding out the race on mediums. So that way I basically ensured that I could stay in clean air myself and not do a medium stint in the middle and have somebody behind me on softs come up, and then we start battling and bringing the rest of the race towards us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Suitlad and Ando do, and if they're exactly the same strats. And if they can keep it clean, we might already be looking at the podium sitters if I'm calling it too early.
Oh, well, we're looking for a bit of commentator's curse here then. If such a thing exists, this is when we're going to see it, viewers. Captain, who can you put the mocker on today?
Well, hopefully not my teammates, but look, I've said what I've said, so I'm not going to be able to take it back. Fingers crossed that doesn't actually happen.
Look, they can't hear us when they're racing, so let's pretend that it certainly can't put them off the track, that's for sure.
Unless you're Ziti. He listens to the stream and races at the same time. The man is multi-talented.
Big shout out to Ziti. Yeah, I don't understand how he can do it, but here he is. He'll comment on the stream. He'll be listening to the stream. He'll be racing, and he'll no doubt be in a party chat. So, hats off to you, Ziti. You are a man of many talents.
And Ziti down the back at the moment in 13th. Have we seen a pit stop from Ziti so far, guys?
Yeah, lap times look like he's come in on lap 5, so potentially had some damage, or there's no real other reason to come in on lap 5. So unfortunately, he must have tagged one of those walls that we were mentioning earlier, and caused himself a mischief.
So is he on softs now? He would have changed off his mediums. He did start on mediums, I believe.
Yes, so you are correct. He did start on mediums and he is now on softs and actually picking out some fantastic lap times. So, like we mentioned before, you can make a two-stop strategy here work, but you've really got to keep your head down and you can actually underfuel. So the benefit of that is you will gain time on your lap, but it is also risky as well. You've really got to push the envelope for those quick lap times, lap after lap.
Tell you what, guys, if we move back up to 7th place here, nice grouping. We've got Ripdog, Super Dragon, and Smooth Blanket, who hasn't been able to get that place back yet. He's just kind of sitting in there. Maybe we'll see the undercut. Oh, he slides a little bit wide there into turn 1 just with that aero wash. But if I'm in this pack and I'm Smooth Blanket at the back, I'm definitely thinking about the undercut now.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's a very good point. Coming through for the start of lap 9 and you're trying to battle two teammates and get past both of them, that is an absolutely tremendous ask. So like you say, you've done your medium stint. I wouldn't be surprised if we both see this second half of the pack coming in on the end of lap 9 and then they start their mediums from there. So we see Smooth and Dragon go side by side onto the bridge. Oh, that is so close to the edge. Wow, they've done well to keep it clean through there. That is fantastic driving.
Yeah, Super Dragon was just right up on the back of Ripdog and just caught a bit of that aero wash, and it's put him right back into the arms of Smooth Blanket here, and Smooth doing a really good job to keep it nice and tight off the bridge there. If he can keep it good through the fast turn 8 right-hander here, he could have him down at the end of the straight in the braking zone for 10.
Yeah, exactly that, and he has focused on his exit there. I was watching his mid-corner speed and he was probably 15k down on where you would normally see them, and focused on getting a good exit out of there. So he's still just creeping in on Dragon, but has been unable to get side by side. So be interesting to watch these three, whether they all come into the pits to do a 9 lap on mediums, or they're indeed doing 10 laps and Smooth wants to get that undercut.
And in fact, Suitlad has come into the pits.
Yep. There we go. So Suitlad doing a 9 lap stint on softs. So I think he's watching those times between himself and Ando and realising that he needs to do something alternate, and this might be exactly that. So if he can find that time back, wouldn't be surprised.
Smooth
As we also see,
then, did he?
He did. So he's gone with the opposite of what Ripdog and Super Dragon have done, and I would actually do exactly the same as that. So he's now found himself clean air. He knows he can lap quicker than the guys that he was catching, but just unable to pass with the aero wash. So smart move by Smooth. If he can keep it clean through here and get a good in lap, he has the potential to complete an overcut and jump out in front of Ripdog and Dragon.
Yeah, and Suitlab has moved on to the mediums for this middle stint. So we see Super Dragon, of course, switching to the softs with Ripdog behind him. They've done their stint now on mediums. So we'll see if they can push back towards the front 6. There was definitely a real gap that grew between the soft runners and the medium runners on that stint. But I dare say they're going to be struggling to catch the back of the guys that are on the mediums now. There's just a bit of a pace difference here, I think, between the top 6 tonight.
Yeah, look, I totally agree with that, and it'll be interesting to see. I would expect the top 6 to come in now. I would be very surprised to see anyone do an 11-lap stint, and looking through fuel loads, there's no way that anybody else can go for another lap.
No, definitely not. Ando in the red, all the lights are buzzing. He'll be coming into the pits this time, in fact shifting a little bit short there.
Yeah, look, he's not showing anything on the fuel gauge. As we predicted, he's shot into the pits. Jumping back to Jonesy for second place, he's also jumping into the pits.
I think we want to see where Suitlad comes out compared to Ando at the moment.
Definitely. So if we jump on for 7th position, we see Suitlad rounding through the sweepers here. It's basically flat stick from that right-hander at the end of the back straight all the way through to the last corner entry here. Keeping an eye on him. We haven't seen Ando come out just yet. We knew they were only a couple of seconds apart when Suitlad tried for the undercut.
He's heading out now, guys. Here he comes.
Oh, Suitlad, yeah, he has put in a good out lap, but it has just not been enough. So Ando's been able to answer that back. We see that.
I tell you what, a change in strategy here. Ando going back out on the softs.
There we go. So Ando's not messing about. He wants to try and keep that gap as big as he possibly can. We see Suitlad on the medium, so that gap's sitting about 3 seconds at the moment. So we'll take a little snapshot of that and keep a memory bank and check in with them in a few laps' time.
That's right, and Jonesy's sitting in third. He's also gone for the softs again, so 3.3 back from Suitlab at this stage. I'd say within probably 5, 6, maybe 7 laps he'll be catching Suitlab. So that'll be interesting to see that one play out in this stint as well.
Yeah, fantastic point. Teammates on different tyres, ultimately the same strategy, I would imagine. So keen to see if Suitlab wants to do a 10. Yeah, no, he will have to do a 10 because he came in on lap 9. So he'll have to do 10 on medium and 10 on soft to round out his strategy. So we see a big gap running back through the field, Dodgy. Big gap down to 4th between Jonesy and Cloquet. So we see actually a bit of a pack. There's Cloquet, Corbin and Smurf all within reason of each other. So they can smell each other as they're driving around this track. And they are all... No, sorry, Cloquet is on softs, CCH is on mediums, and Smurf is on mediums as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Smurf is able to make a move on Corbin here. They're side by side coming into the right-hander. Ooh, Corbin can defend if he's on the outside here. As we see exactly that, Corbin's been able to stick it around the outside and hold out Smurf. That is fantastic driving.
Fantastic driving from both drivers there, and that's important too, because Corbin actually managed to jump Smurf across the pit stops there. So that one, we'll see how that plays out through this stint, but he's done a fantastic job to get that 5th position. We'll see with Cloquet up ahead in softs. It's probably going to be down to Corbin and Smurf for this stint to see who can come in and get the advantage going into the final stint.
Yep, I totally agree. Quickly looking between Smurf and CCH, their fuel usage. Smurf has actually used a little bit more fuel, so he was looking to make that pass stick. And it's certainly one of those things that you can take into account. You do a little bit more short shifting through the rest of your lap and focus on staying in that slipstream and then maximising your power down that back straight while in slipstream and to be able to make a pass. But unfortunately, that's not happened for Smurf this time round.
I have to ask the question, do we think maybe Smurf actually short fueled a little bit?
That's a good question, actually. I'm not sure. I didn't see what he came out of the pits on.
Sorry, Super Dragon. Super Dragon definitely using more fuel than the rest of that battle pack. So.
Oh, Dragon, yes, of course.
Yeah, we've got Smooth and Ripdoc at it again. They're not giving each other quarter at all, these pairs, so much so that Flossie's come to join the party.
Yes, I think Flossie, did he have some early damage? I can't quite recall what happened with him. I knew he started 13th, but it's good to see him make up a couple of places and actually start gaining on Smooth and Ripdoc. But we're seeing them battle for 8th position at the moment, so exactly as you say, Dodgy, it's bringing Flossie right into this mix.
Almost same move as last time, almost.
Oh, Smooth is wide. He's thrown it again. No, he's given that position back to Ripdoc. So Ripdoc showing that consistency may actually prevail over outright pace here.
And Flossie's taken him as well.
Smooth's really lost out there. 2 positions in the matter of corners. Unlucky.
Yeah, just needs to get back into the rhythm now and just settle it down a little bit and see if he can potentially start thinking about whether he can go the undercut towards the last stint. He ran mediums to start and he's on the softs now, so he'll run softs again for the final stint. Could definitely be an advantage with that extra lap. But then of course you need to save the fuel and you need to be able to go all the way to the end.
Yeah, and on the topic of fuel, Smooth has definitely got a notable amount more fuel than both Flossie and Ripdoc, so potential for that undercut, or rather maybe potentially overcut, and saving himself that extra fuel time in the pits, which is a fantastic way to overtake people around this track.
We did actually, speaking of overtaking, gentlemen, miss a team manoeuvre there. We've got Jonesy now in front of Suitlad, and he's already got a 1.5 seconds on him. I think you've got a difference between softs and mediums there, if I recall.
Yeah, as you pointed out, Molten Ash, he's pulled that gap straight back. It was about 3.5 seconds or so, and he's been able to pull that back to a 1.6 second lead. So really showing off the difference between mediums and softs. And being teammates, we've done plenty of practice this week, and you know we are basically all lapping in the same braking, same turn-in points. So yeah, it really goes to show the difference between the two tyres.
Just looking back to 10th, a bit of an update. Super Dragon has connected with the wall. He's got a bit of front left damage and front damage across the splitter. So that pack that was behind him has actually been able to just shoot through now. Ripdog, Smooth Blanket and co. Struggling a little bit, just dropping off the pace a bit now, which is a shame because he's been really consistent up to this point in the high 56s and low 57s. He was doing really, really well. Ooh, he might pick up a penalty there as he cuts the corner and heads out wide. That's a bit of a shame for Super Dragon there. He has, in fact, pick up a penalty, burns it straight away. We'll see if he pits. He does. He's actually coming in and pitting to fix that in 10th.
Smart move. I think that's very detrimental, having that damage. You can potentially run with just a front wing damage or front aero damage, but having wheel or suspension damage is far too much. You can't handle with these cars.
Yeah, it's almost a 2-second a lap loss around here, and I found that out the hard way earlier today, so...
Unlucky.
I think we must have had a coming together maybe, or something between Spence and Zeedy. I noticed Zeedy's bringing up the rear for us at the moment, but he is a minute 17 behind, and Spence is only 8 seconds in front of him.
Yeah, we knew they both did their medium stints, and unfortunately Zeedy did have to come in on lap 5. So that might pay a tribute to why Zeedy and Spence are lacking. I can't see where Spence has come in other than being on lap 9, which would make sense for his strategy.
Spence actually pitted on lap 1 with a bit of damage.
It was lap 1. That's right, yes, it was between him and J-Dub, unfortunately, on the entrance to the bridge.
Yep.
Correct. He started on the softs, had that damage in on lap 1, moved across to the mediums, and now back in the softs by the look of it.
I'd just like to point out as well, Flossie has been able to make up 3 positions. So that must have happened in the pits there, because both Smooth, Ripdog and unfortunately Dragon with that prior damage have fallen victim to Flossie there. So fantastic to see him from 13th up to 7th.
Potentially just taking advantage of a little bit of fighting and pick them off, and yeah, look at the lap times there. He's gone straight down into the 55s, high 55s, so definitely looking to use all of those tyres up. He's got a little bit more fuel burn than those around him as well, so I'd suspect we may see him in a lap earlier than the rest of the field that he's around at the moment in 7th place there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. By the looks of it, he did come in on lap 10, so that would make sense for him to potentially come in for a 9-lap stint now, or round out the final stint as a 9-lapper. However, the 2 drivers in front of Flossie, Smurf and Corbin, are both on mediums, so I wouldn't be surprised here if within the next couple of laps, Flossie is able to pick off both Smurf and Corbin.
Yeah, Flossie actually pitted on the end of lap 9, so he went a little bit shorter on that first stint. I'd be a bit worried if I'm Flossie at the moment. I can see him potentially getting to the end of the race and needing to really fuel save to get there in that last stint.
Yeah, you are exactly right. Halfway through what can be seen as a 10-lap stint, he is on just under 50% fuel. So, roughly speaking, he should be able to make 10 laps, provided he doesn't have to battle too much with other drivers.
Halfway through this race now, Captain. Maybe it's a bit of a time that we have a bit of a run through the field.
I agree. Jump back up to Ando in first place with a 7.8 second gap down to Jonesy. So Ando has been consistently in the 54s, even mid 54s. He set the fastest lap of a 1:54.6 on lap 12. So fantastic pace to see from Ando.
Yeah, very impressive and super consistent out there in first. I think he's going to be tough to catch this race.
Yeah, yep, I certainly agree. Doing similar lap times as well, believe it or not, is Jonesy. He's very low 55s with actually a few 54s thrown in for good measure. So he's been able to keep this delta between Ando and himself somewhat consistent, but Ando is ultimately walking away with it at this point in time.
Yeah, some great laps there from Jonesy. And if we move back to Suitlad on the mediums for this stint, the first of the top 3 to have gone on to the mediums, obviously dropping back at the moment, but really not too far. He's been very consistent in the 57s and 56s on this medium, so that's really impressive. And I tell you what, towards the end of the race, or in fact this next pit stop, he's definitely going to come into it over the last few laps. We could be ready for a grandstand finish here between this top 3. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep, absolutely agree. His fuel burn is showing a little bit higher than what I would have expected, but it's making sense with the 9 lap, or when he came in on lap 9, compared to Jonesy and Ando, who came in on lap 10. So hopefully he's not burning too much, trying to compensate for the lack of time in those mediums. Jumping back to 4th as well, at about a 12-second gap between Suitlad and Cloquet. Cloquet has been fairly well consistent in the high 55s and low 56s. So that's actually quite competitive times. If he can keep that consistent, he'll end up with a fantastic total race time.
Jumping back to 5th, Corbin, CCH. Again, you see a lot of consistency out of these Div 2 runners, running in the mid to high 56s, a couple of low 57s, and even the out laps and in laps, really good time. So that's what you'd expect from the top racers in wheel to wheel, running really well. Out on the mediums at the moment, and Smurf in right behind him now, in fact under a bit of pressure, sitting in 6th at the moment.
Yeah, I think we've stumbled off a bit of a battle pack. Like I mentioned before, Flossie being on softs versus Corbin being on mediums. Smurf on mediums. They're actually coming in for quite a battle pack. As we see Flossie move out and get the overtake done on the entrance to turn 1. I would have not have expected to see an overtake through there. As we see Smurf come back to side by side, get the crisscross. Is he going to be able to hold it? Oh, Smooth is showing his nose too. This is outstanding. Right, Smurf has been able to hold it out. Flossie's still sitting behind. He actually might have fallen victim to Smooth here. We're going 3 wide through this section of the course. No way.
Oh no, this can't work. 3 wide. They've managed to sort themselves out. Wow.
Smooth has come through on top. Smooth's taken both of them through this section. Outstanding.
Oh, Flossie really getting loose at the end there.
He did. That's all right. He can gather himself back up as I try to gather my words. He's on the same tyres as Ripdoc, albeit a little bit more worn. So Ripdoc might be looking to make a position back on Flossie here.
I tell you what, that was intense though. Smooth from their outside, heading down 3 wide. I could not see that working, but they managed to get through there, and wow, that's commitment.
Yeah. I don't understand how not one of them ended up tagging the wall. It is such a high-speed section of the course. To be able to make it through there 3 wide, outstanding commitment and outstanding driving from all 3 to be able to have the awareness to understand where each driver is and not make contact with them. So, absolutely fantastic. Lots of words.
That has to be the move of the race so far.
Oh yeah, easily.
Well,
that is not the place where I would see an overtake. Anyway, continuing running through the field.
That's right. Let's run through the field. Let's jump back up a little bit. So Smooth Blanket now in 6th place after coming out on top of that. Really, really good effort. He's currently on the soft tyre and chasing down Corbin CHH there on the mediums. 1.5 second gap between the 2 of those. So they'll definitely close up towards the end of this little stint. Going back to 7th, Smurf, again, fantastically consistent, although, wow, what a little battle there. And looking back at 8th place, Flossie, he was in the middle of that 3 wide battle, and I tell you what, when you're in the middle, you've really got no place to go, and he just bounced around like a bit of a pinball between Smooth and Smurf, and really came out the wrong side of it. So unfortunate there for Flossie. Under a lot of pressure at the moment from Ripdoc, both on the softs and both in pretty decent condition for this far through the stint.
Yeah, we do see a little bit more tyre wear on Flossie's complete set versus Ripdoc, so that might be a contributing factor to why Ripdoc is able to show his nose to Flossie, although something must have happened just there because he's dropped about a second. So interesting times there. Continuing through the field, 10th position Dragon with, I think he had the unfortunate damage in lap 13, yes he did. So that does bring him back an extra pit stop, which for damage, if he fuels up, can easily be 35-40 seconds around this circuit. So tough break for Dragon. Again, with the tough breaks, Spence damage on lap 1. He's sitting pretty in 11th, with J-Dub closing up behind in 12th.
Maybe worth keeping an eye on those two towards the end. We'll see if they decide to battle again, or if they're just going to see it out.
maybe let things calm down again. Maybe it'll heat up. That'll be one to keep an eye on, like you say.
Well, as a teammate, we've got to think about the points. We're chasing down you boys in 13R for the championship at the moment. So, yeah, not the round result we'd probably want for the leftovers team.
No, unfortunately, both teammates coming together that early on in the race is not good for overall scores. So, bringing up a point that Maltmash mentioned before is how our leaderboard system works. So, we do race in different lobbies, like you mentioned, and our overall race time is what ranks every driver that has raced over the weekend. Then points are distributed from 600 all the way down to 5. And then our team totals work from each team member, and whatever their total round scores are or season scores, you add them all up and we get to the team's totals. So, Dodgy, do you want to bring them up just quickly?
Surely, they're up right now.
There we go. So we see 13R Autosport, team captain myself, and Dodgy is fantastic to see us all up there. And what do we have a lead of? About 700 points, if my maths is correct.
Well, your maths is pretty awful. I think you're about 400 ahead of us in second at the leftovers at this point.
Well, 96.20 for leftovers versus 10,328.
Yeah, I'm just taking about 300 points off because I feel like it makes it a little bit easier for us.
No, look, I'm expecting some big things from both leftovers and T-Rex Racing. So T-Rex Racing in third position, rounding out the podium for the team championship. They have a lot of drivers in Div 1, so they're certainly one to watch out for in the second half of the season.
If I recall, at the end of the last round, T-Rex Racing was actually coming second, but there was a post-race penalty put on one of their drivers, which they've now just stuck behind the leftovers by 2 points.
Yeah, extremely close for that second and third position on the leaderboards at the moment.
Heading back to the track, guys. I'm starting to see a couple of pit stops come through now. Suitlad, as expected, pitted there on lap 19, going on to the softs for his final stint. We've also got Corbin, CHH, and Flossie in the pits.
Along with Ripdoc and Smurf as well, so everyone's rounding out their alternate lap stints. So there's being 29 lap total. If you're doing a 2-stop, you do a 9 lap and a 10 lap, or 2 10 laps and a 9. So they'll be going to the end, this group here. As we see them come straight back out into a battle pack. So Smurf, Flossie and Ripdoc are all within a second of each other. Or even half a second. Jumping back up to the top of the field if we can, Dodgy, back up first with Ando. He's not really gotten much screen time because he's all out by his lonesome with about a 10-second gap back to Jonesy. So Ando's looking like he's set to come in this lap, as is Jonesy in second, and I would expect Cloquade to be possibly going another lap. He's showing low on fuel and on tyres, so he'll be an interesting one to watch. So see Ando.
Ando and Jonesy and both really tight on fuel there towards the end. Timing it absolutely perfect.
Absolutely down to the wire. So a pit stop I think we might have missed as well is Suitlad. So he did come in lap 19. You might have mentioned him, Ash, I'm not too sure. So he'll be one to watch. He was about 40 seconds behind Jonesy and Ando when they came into the pits. And it's looking like Ando has jumped out on the mediums. Oh, and ZD's getting close in as well. So it looks like ZD's actually, unfortunately, close to being lapped by Ando. So that might actually hurt Ando if they want to battle. However, this is not for position, so ultimately it's sad as a teammate, but ZD should be giving way to those blue flags to Ando.
Ziti did just come out of the pits probably about 2 laps ago. He suffered damage again, so he's not having a good run, old Zeeds, but when he's on, and when he's not, it's like anyone else, it just gets to you.
It certainly rattles you. If your strategy is thrown off, it certainly rattles your rhythm, your groove, and I can certainly understand how he's feeling at this point in time. It's very unfortunate.
It's definitely potentially hurting Ando a little bit here, coming out behind Ziti there. Jonesy's managed to pull about a second back from the times before they went into the pits.
Yeah, it's good to see Suitlad as well. He's found clean air yet again in 3rd position, and he is on softs compared to both Ando and Jonesy being on mediums. So the gap that we saw both reduce, and then once Jonesy overtook Suitlad for 2nd place there, we saw that gap extend. So Suitlad can keep his head down. I think there's going to be a tight finish for potentially even the 1st place of the race, definitely for 2nd.
I think Ando's got to be careful. If he comes up behind Ziti at an unfortunate part of the track, he is going to get that aero wash, and it will upset him a little. And that's not necessarily any fault of Ziti's for not giving away under blue fade conditions. So Ando really has to pick the time to go, right, I need to get up on Ziti now and get past him.
Yeah, I totally agree. Worth pointing out though, Ziti is on softs versus Ando on mediums. So Ando might actually be struggling to come to terms with a different compound, being the first time that he's put the mediums on for this race. So Ziti's been able to pull out, funnily enough, a little bit of a gap on the leader. So it might be telltale for Suitlad to reel them in.
Yeah, not bad from Ziti. He stuck to his guns, knew he was on the better tyre. In fact, he's pulling off some mid to low 55s at the moment, so easily pulling away from Ando on the mediums there, who did a 57.8 as his first lap out. I dare say we'll just see Ziti march away in 13th position, and hopefully that won't affect Ando as much as we potentially thought it would.
There we go. So throwing another mix into the pit stop strategy is Dragon. He's sitting pretty in 10th position. He's coming on lap 21.
That's right. He had that damage on lap 13, so he managed to go a little bit longer to get that last stint just that tad shorter. But he's got that extra pit stop on those around him, so that'll affect him a little bit. Unfortunate
for Dragon now. He has only put in a little bit of practice this week, but was showing some promise fairly early on. So unfortunately, he's come a victim to these close walls around Circuit St. Croix. Actually, as we see Ando pull out a little bit more of a lead between 1st and 2nd place. It's out to about 10.5 seconds currently. Yeah, he's found that second back fairly quickly there. Got used to the tyres, putting in a pretty good lap here, and yeah, just keeping that gap back to Jonesy at just over 10 seconds at this point. And we're looking at an 8-second gap back to Suitlad. Of course, Suitlad on the softs for this final stint, so he's hunting those front two down. I dare say we're going to have a great 13-hour battle here for 2nd. Whether he can get past Jonesy quick enough and chase Ando down now, I just don't think he's quite got the pace there at this point. No, it'll truly come down. We don't have team orders specifically here at 13R as well, so if a battle ensues for 2nd place, then a battle ensues. But I would expect both the class of Suitlad and Jonesy to understand that they're on different tyres, different speeds, and let the overtake happen. And I have to say, the top three really a class above the rest of the Div 2 guys here on this track tonight. You're looking at them probably having a gap of around 10 seconds across the top three towards the end of this race. And currently Cloquet in 4th, sitting 35 seconds back from Ando. So a good battle going for 4th between Cloquet, Corbin, CHH, who's just put a move on Smooth Blanket as well. If we can jump back to 5th and 6th if we're not already there. Yeah, I've been watching 5th and 6th for the last few corners, and Smooth has been pushing the envelope with Corbin there, trying to make a pass, and he's tried to do what's almost been his signature overtake through those sweepers there, and Corbin has been able to answer back and
he's got the run over the bridge.
He's got a fantastic run over the bridge. Yeah, look, he's clearly in front of this one now, so be surprised if Corbin's able to crisscross back, especially through this left-hander. It is so tough to get your line right. as we see Smooth making that position up. Now Corbin's got to deal with that aero wash for the first time in a while.
Smooth reminiscing about Tokyo last week. He's got the wiper blade going.
Still having flashbacks there, I see. Corbin was lucky not to get some damage there. We saw him just tag the wall on the exit, like I mentioned, dealing with that aero wash. So very, very lucky for Corbin to get away with a tag there.
Just having a quick flick through the field. No one carrying damage at the moment, so everyone pretty much right to go through to the end here. Definitely going to have a grandstand finish across the top three, though. Yeah,
absolutely. Smooth is definitely showing his pace. He's been able to pull off a 54.8 in this last lap while battling with Corbin, by the looks of it. So that is some blistering time, considering Ando's quickest lap is a 54.6. So yeah, in the midst of battle, fantastic times.
That is a fantastic lap, and chasing down Cloquet now. Cloquet on the mediums. It should be easy picking for Smooth to get up to fourth.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I would expect to see Smooth Blanket making that move on Cloquet. Almost
Here he
again.
Comes. Signature move around the outside.
Side through the sleevers. Oh. Is he going to make it stick? No, he thinks better of it. Backs out. Is he going to prioritise his run onto the bridge, which is seemingly how he got past Corbin as well. Oh, he's being squeezed. Oh, wonder if Cloquet was aware that he got such a good run.
Diving back to the inside.
So is he going to make it? Too wide, too deep. Not too deep for Smooth. He pulls it off. Another fantastic move by Smooth Blanket.
And now Cloquet falling into the clutches of Corbin. Again, Corbin on the softs, Cloquet on the medium, so it's not an even fight here for Cloquet, unfortunately, as he tags the wall coming out of 8. Did he get away with it? Yes, no damage, thankfully.
Smooth weaving down the back shore, not weaving. He's allowed to make one move under rules and regulations, so trying to break that slip as we see Cloquet, even on the mediums, being able to hang this Smooth through that sweeper. Crisscross, looks like Corbin might be able to get up the inside of Cloquet as they're going too wide into the tail end of this section. We see Cloquet think just a little bit better of it. Maybe his tyres were not up to scratch compared to the softs of Corbin.
In fact, I wonder if Smooth realised that Cloquet was actually on the mediums there, because he was really defensive going into the tight turn there. But he's got the lead coming across now on the straight. Corbin right in the slipstream here. This is a good fight here for fourth.
Absolutely agree. Corbin and Smooth are definitely going to be one to keep an eye on for these remaining 5-6 laps.
Smooth had a few excursions today. He's definitely got the pace, but he just has a couple of off-track excursions, which has kind of cost him a little bit. But he's still in the battle here, in fourth position, holding Corbin back. Jeez, this is a close battle.
Outstanding driving by all three of these as well. Unfortunate for Cloquet, he definitely looks like he has the pace and the skill to be able to keep with him. Just not on the right set of tyres at this point in time.
Everyone he's fighting for, including Flossie, who's just 1.2 seconds back now on the softs. So he's really going to struggle to hold on to the top 7 or 8 positions here, I think. Unfortunate, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. He took the advantage of it earlier with the softs, going soft. But now he's paying the price for being mediums on that last stint. For me, I just couldn't do mediums on the last stint. I hate the thought of everyone on the better tyre coming through towards the end. Of course, that being said, Ando and Jonesy both making it work at this point. So if you got the pace to get far enough ahead, it can definitely be a strategy that works out.
Yeah, Ando and Jonesy are on exactly the same strat as what worked for me in Div 1. So it's so dependent. If you end up battling with people on track, then that strategy can certainly hurt. But clean air, you're just focusing on your own lap times. It really can pay dividends by sitting on the mediums on the last stint. Jonesy actually punching out some fantastic times on the mediums and has been able to hold off the Charger suit lad on softs. That gap has been sitting at about that 6-second mark for some time.
Yeah, right. He's doing a fantastic job on the mediums. Just really consistent there. The gap was at about 8 seconds before, and it's come down to 6, but it's kind of leveling out a little bit. I don't think Suitlad's going to have enough time to catch Jonesy like we originally thought.
No, not in the closing laps of this race. Sorry, Dodgy, you sounded like you were going to mention something.
Took the words right out of my mouth with Suitlad and Jonesy, so go for it.
Sounds good. Either way, I'm happy with Team 13R being in second and third place in Div 2. So fingers crossed they can keep it clean for the last couple of laps. I'm gonna say it again. So fingers crossed. There's no.
Bring on the commentator's curse. Let's go.
I have faith in my team.
They're definitely doing a good job.
Yeah, fantastic job. So jumping back to fourth as well, Dodgy, we are seeing Smooth put a little bit of a gap on Corbin. And Corbin has also... Sorry, no, we see Flossie has been able to make it past Cloquet as well, so we've missed that one. But that's not unsurprising being the difference of tyres there. So unfortunately Cloquet is falling victim to the rest of those drivers being on softs, having done their medium stint from the start of the race.
Yeah, and looking back behind Cloquet now, Ripdoc almost in the slipstream, so just a matter of time before he takes that 7th place away, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm expecting to see an overtake between Cloquet and Ripdoc and Cloquet in these next couple of laps. Looking through everyone's fuel burn as well, it seems like everyone is pretty much on par with each other. Funnily enough, bar Jonesy, he has seemed to have saved a little bit more fuel.
Potentially helping him there, just keep Suitlad off. He's definitely got that fuel advantage with 3 laps to go here, so that will definitely help. And in fact, that gap now still only down to 5.5 seconds. It's just not enough for Suitlad. He just doesn't quite have the pace here in this final stint on the softs to catch Jonesy on the mediums.
Yeah, that has been sitting fairly static within the last 2 or 3 laps. He has pulled in a few tenths, but unfortunately just not enough to be able to make a real dent.
In fact, if we look back up the front of the field here, Captain Ando, really consistent here, really hasn't put a foot wrong. What are we expecting to see his total race time as, and how competitive would he be against the Div 1 times tonight?
Oh, looking over the Div 1 times, I did set a 56.42, so that was actually my quickest race time, even throughout practice racing. So I was absolutely outstanding by myself, if I can say so. But the second and third place in Div 1 were about 20 seconds. It was split. The podium was split by about 20 seconds. So I would not be surprised if Ando is in the low 57s total race time. As we can see, he just pulled off another 55.8, and those times on mediums is honestly Div 1 competitive. So I would not be surprised if he's a 3rd or 4th position in our overall standings.
Very impressive run from Ando tonight. Can he bring it home? Can he get on the podium for the whole round? I think he's definitely on track for it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been out by himself. He's found his groove. He just needs to focus on those last couple of laps, closing laps. Keep it clean, keep it consistent, which is exactly what he's done all race. I don't expect anything to change.
We're just on with Suitlad now, guys. He's got a lovely... the red livery of Suitlad's always stands out, and he's got one of our sponsors on the side there in Future Youth. Seems like a good time to bring it up. Future Youth are a sportswear company that are helping us out here at Wheel to Wheel and offering us a few shirts for prizes. So thanks for that, Future Youth. We look forward to wearing that as winners of the series. So just start printing them up now as 13R if you don't mind.
Look, I would like to call it early. Anything can happen in this second half of the season, but absolutely, team shirts will go a long way for team morale.
I got to say, guys, some pretty cool clothing in the Future Youth range. You can jump online and grab it. Looks really nice. Really good streetwear. Born here in Melbourne, down in here in Mexico. It's fantastic.
And on the topic of sponsors, it was a fairly good segue. We also have Pagnian Imports, Races and Next Level Racing as Season 7 sponsors. So A big shout out to racers as well. They've been around for their second season now. Dodgy, that's a bit of your background. You want to give us a quick run through on that and our dying laps of this race?
I'll be very quick. Racers are a grassroots race company. If you want to get on track in any car you like, you know yourself after doing Nugget Nationals that some of these fun things you can get out and do with your own cars are awesome, and races are a way for you to get out there and try it in real life. And as for Pagnian, anything you want that is going to get you in the sim world up and running, they've got it, so go see them, and they stock all our next level stuff.
Yeah, it's really good to see everything interchanged like that as well. And yeah, just quickly jumping on with races is fantastic to see them again for a second season. And your car doesn't have to be anything special. As you mentioned, I competed in a Nugget Nationals round at Winton in Victoria, and yeah, it was a bone stock Honda Jazz. Had an absolute ball. It doesn't matter what you're driving as long as you're getting out there and driving it.
Gents, we've been racing for almost an hour here, and we're almost on, in fact we are on the final lap now, so that's come up really, really quickly. A nice smooth finish. Bit of a gap through most of the field, but we do see a little bit of battle for 7th place. Cloquet on the mediums, actually pressuring Ripdoc right now.
Yeah, so Cloquet was just falling victim to Ripdoc's overtake, as we predicted. I'm surprised it lasted until lap 29, but we do see Cloquet on those mediums and just starting to fall off the back of Ripdoc for 7th.
That's right, but the class of the field tonight, Ando 787, what a fantastic effort as he just comes through the final fast little double left now, down into the final turn. Call it over the line, Captain. What a race tonight.
Ando, absolutely outstanding effort. Hats off to you, mate. You have done fantastic here. We're very keen to see your total race time. As he's crossing the finish line, finishing off with a 55.8 on mediums, lap 29, consistently in the 55s. Outstanding
and
effort.
A race time in the 56s. Well done.
Outstanding. We see Jonesy round the last corner as well. He is he's ecstatic with his race time. Doing a little weave, give us a flash of the lights. Ecstatic for Jonesy in second. Suit Lad rounding out third. Outstanding podium. Super happy for 13R Autosport. Go boys.
And Smooth Blanket coming around the final turn now in 4th. He's done really well. Got ZD there in 14th, which a lap down there. But Smooth, wow, he had as ZD does the little crossover the line sideways. But Smooth, yeah, definitely in the wars today. Off track a few times, but managed to do really good. And CCH, EXO, and Ripdoc just getting Cloquet, or holding Cloquet off at the end there, actually.
Indeed, as we see Smurf, Dragon, and Smurf and Dragon cross the finish line for 9th and 10th. We see Smurf rounding through, Spence. I'll get my drivers correct in a second. Heading towards the final turn now. Unfortunate for Spence with that first lap damage. Really throwing off his strategy, throwing in a pit stop for no real gain. Coming home in 11th, and then followed closely by J-Dub rounding last corner now. We'll see the end of our race.
That's right, the leftovers there. Taking my golfing aspirations and staying on the track for as long as possible. So, not the way to get the points, but well done to the guys who managed to bring it home in the end.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding drive from Ando again. Congratulations, mate. You've done yourself proud.
Yeah, fantastic effort in the green and gold suit there. Well done, Ando, on the victory. And of course, rounding out our podium, Jonesy and Suit Lad. Amazing effort tonight, guys. Jonesy there to be able to hold off Suit Lad on the end there with Suit Lad on the softs. I thought that was really impressive, actually. That was a really good final stint.
Yeah, absolutely agreed on that. So looking at total race times as well, 56.51 is only 1.3 seconds behind Pure Axel. Pure Axel is arguably one of our fastest drivers here in the league, so to see Ando right up there with him, that is a solid third place in our total standings. So really, really good to see there. And actually Jonesy and Suit Lad as well, with low 57-minute total race times. Wouldn't be surprised if that actually pips the total standings for potentially 4th and 5th, or even higher. So we'll keep an eye out for our standings once they're released the next few days. But again, Dodgy, Ash, has been fantastic joining you here in the commentary box tonight for another outstanding stream here with Wheel to Wheel. Any parting words, Molten, for your first time here in the commentary box?
Yeah, look, thanks for having me in the commentary box. Absolutely fun. I hope everyone watching along enjoyed it as well. Just a fantastic strategy race there. For me, Jonesy with the drive in second, that was fantastic. Of course, you can't go past Ando. He was definitely the class of the field tonight. But for me, that move 3 wide coming down through the left, right, left before the bridge, wow, that was some entertaining racing. So well done to the entire Div 2 team tonight, and thank you both for having me on board.
No, absolute pleasure having you here, Molten Ash. And as well, Dodgy, again, fantastic effort on the visuals. Fantastic to see you here once more.
Guys, I'm just so happy to be here. It was a great race to watch tonight. It was on for young and old. I feel sorry for those tail gunners up the back, old ZD and Spence and J-Dub. Those walls are very vicious around here. So, but it was great times all over. I know Tombo's on chat at the moment on YouTube, absolutely banging on about Shake and Bake. So it's good to see Shake and Bake have a win.
Yeah, yep, fantastic to see those guys get up. Alrighty, thank you everybody for joining us here in the stream. I'm seeing plenty of comments come through, so it's really good to see quite a lot of our wheel-to-wheel and external people jump on for a stream. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, good night all.